All right. Good evening, everybody. I want to talk about vitamin D and how important it is today. If you're only going to do one vitamin D would be the one you would do. It's just so very, very important. So, with my daughter, she never got a cold because I made sure she had a lot of vitamin D during the winter. Really, we call it flu and cold season. It should be called vitamin D deficient season. And, every cell in your body has a receptor for vitamin D. That's huge. It's really a hormone. It's really a pro-hormone. And it also, very important, needs magnesium to get into the body. So most people are deficient. Most breast cancer patients have like a level of 17 nanograms, which is very, very low, critically low. If the research is showing that if women could keep themselves above 60 nanograms, that the chances, or the diagnosis of breast cancer in a year would go down about 80%. That's how huge it is. It's huge for depression. So any respiratory at all, you need vitamin D, okay? Vitamin D. And I'm going to give you a few. I'm going to read these because there's quite a few important statistics here. 70 to 80% of Americans are immune suppressed. 96% of people in ICUs are vitamin D deficient. 80% of all hospital patients are vitamin D deficient. 80% of Americans are magnesium deficient. You need magnesium with your vitamin D so it absorbs into the body. It's like they dance into the body together. 70 to 80% of the Americans are zinc deficient. So I hope those statistics give you an idea of how important it is. So 2,000 genes in your body are controlled by vitamin D. So, this is I want to get over to people how important it is. When I was a buyer at a health food store, and people would come in and, I'd ask them how much vitamin D they were taking, and they would say, and I knew they were over 50, because you absorb less the older you are. So they'd be taking like 2,000, and I would say, my daughter's 60 pounds, she takes 10,000 all through the winter. She doesn't get a cold, she doesn't get flu, she doesn't get any, So there's a lot of things. I just did a vitamin D test, a home test, the Grassroots Health one, which I personally really like. It's the one I've been using. I love the idea. It arrives in the mail, and I can do it on myself. I send it in. You become part of a study, like this world study on vitamin D, and there's at least 15,000 people, and there's 48 scientists from all over the world working on it. And it's really important because the more they can study, the more they can help us. And it's you go on the computer, and I am not a very computer savvy person. I am learning, but I've made it a point. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, really. And my second video, like the B video on vitamin D, I literally show you me doing the test on myself. My last test, I was 64, so that's good. You want to be a minimum of 40 to 60. I really would like to be as close to 100 as I could get. So that means anti-cancer, mood's going to be better. My immunity is going to be stronger. I mean, those are huge things. I also want to share, I remember a story where a young teenager of a friend of mine, he was, his mom was saying, wow, he's depressed, And I said, well, what about his vitamin D levels? Check his vitamin D levels. And the other thing I said was, you know, what are are you using sunscreen? Are you using sunscreen? Because sunscreen is going to block your vitamin D. I will put in my description and notes also a site called D Miner, where you can go in according to where you live and find out how much vitamin D you're getting from the sun at this time, at a particular time of year, and how much you need to be out. But I'll tell you right now, if you're above the 35th parallel or below the 35th parallel, from October, which is, I'm doing this in October, we're going into the vitamin deficient season, to March, I used to be a ski instructor. You're not getting, I was outside all the day, you're getting no vitamin D. No vitamin D. You could be nude outside all day. It's because of the angle of the sun. You are getting none. So, you know, I personally, I believe taking supplements is important. This is one of this is my favorite at this point in time. I really like the company Natural Factors. This is a 5,000 IU vegan one, and I'm vegan. But this is a non-vegan one, 5,000, same company. I really like them. They're, you know, the company is family owned, real clean products. And that's important to me. And vitamin D is important to me. So vitamin D3. There, you know, I would never just, personally, I wouldn't get my vitamin D at a pharmacy. It's such an important vitamin to me. I'm going to make sure I have quality. I also steer away, and this is just me, I steer away from the companies that have been bought out by the big food companies. Like, you know, there's a lot of them that have been bought out. This hasn't been bought out. A lot of the industries like Nestle, Clorox, Procter and Gamble, pharmaceutical companies from like Japan are buying out these supplement companies here in the U.S. And I don't know if they know this is where the future is, or they want to make themselves look good. But the quality, I've noticed, goes down in the ones they buy up. So Natural Factors, this is just a line called Whole Earth and Sea, but it's that company. It's just a line of the company. So I take through everything that's going on in the world. I've been taking 10,000 IUs every day. There's a doctor, Michael, I think it's Herlick, and in his research, he's found that you can easily take 15,000 IUs for more than 6 months with no adverse side effects, whatever. It's very, very rare that anybody would, but you've got to realize, my daughter was 60 pounds, and that's small, and I was giving her 10,000 IUs, and it was great. She didn't get colds or flus. I mean, for me as a mom of a rare child, that was really, really important, because before that, and before I had the knowledge, you know, it was hell when she did have a cold. I mean, it went on for a real long time, and weeks of sleeplessness and worry. Let me just check on a few things that I want to make sure that you're aware of. So if, for example, the studies of breast cancer patients have consistently shown that most women diagnosed with invasive breast cancer never had a vitamin D blood level above 60 nanograms, and actually the average was 17. 17 is critically low as far as I'm concerned. So at least if you had a level of 30, you know, you're going to be absorbing calcium, you're going to have more muscle strength, you're going to have better immune function. But really, you don't want to be lower than 40, and you want to build up. And you've got to realize that vitamin D, even a good quality vitamin D, is inexpensive compared to, like, the cancer industry is a $30 billion industry. Pharmaceuticals aren't going to make money off vitamin D. They can't, you know, anything they can't patent as their own personal drug. So, this is so easy for anybody. So colds, flus, any respiratory, make sure that your vitamin D, and I highly recommend, I mean, yeah, start taking more. If you're not taking any, please take some and start taking more. But what I like about the testing is I find out where I am, because really, I just did it in September because that's the highest you're going to be going into the winter. You've just come through summer, that's the highest you're going to be. And you're going to start going down because you're not going to get any, from October, end of October on until March. And then you can gauge, where you've been. You can see where you want to go. You're part of a study which is going to inevitably help out other people. And the questions are really easy. So at least once a year, get tested. And these are priorities for me. Financially, it's about $79 for a test, and that's an expense for me, but my health is so important, and this is something simple that I can have control on. And if I have to, I can up. And what I like about the site, when you go to grassrootshealth.com, is when you do get your results back, is there's places where you can go and, what can I do if you're low? What can I do to raise it? And you'll get like recommendations, which is very neat. So things like that I love. Now I want to make sure that I have covered all this great information. Also try and take it with your largest meal of the day, because that can increase your absorption. And please take it with magnesium. There's a lot of good magnesiums out there. I take a liquid magnesium, actually, because I just enjoy taking it that way. And I think that's all you need to know. So please, great product here. If you go to the vitamindcouncil.org, I don't know why, but when I was working as a buyer at a health food store, people were intimidated by vitamin D, and I'm not quite sure why. Or their doctor had said, only take like 1,000 or 2,000. And the thing is that the doctors do not study nutrition. You would be better off asking a nutritionist. They probably have read somewhere, but the vitamindcouncil.org recommends 5,000 IUs a day. And I take a minimum of 5,000 all year, but because of the level of viruses and colds and flus, that everything we've been going through, I just upped it to 10,000 year round right now until everything settles down a bit. Please consider this. This is such a simple thing you can do just every day. Take your vitamin D3 and build up your immunity so that your body can naturally fight anything that's coming at you. But no, it has to do with bone health. It has to do with depression. It has to do with cancer. All of this is so important. I read a particular book. Unfortunately, I can't remember the title, but it was about a woman who had, I think it was 19 years of study about cancer and breast cancer. And there was a huge section on vitamin D and the importance of vitamin D in that. So please, go to your local co-op or health food store and get yourself a good vitamin D. I know this one for sure. And look at my next one with the test. I want to thank you all for subscribing, for supporting me on this channel. And I'm just going to keep bringing you, as I learn, I'm going to bring you information. As I learn to you know, I'll update when need be, and I'm doing my best to answer your questions. Now that I'm becoming a much better computer person, I can come in here and be more available to you. So this is going forward. I'll be able to answer your questions more often. And you know, since Bree passed, a lot of things have just been overwhelming. Sorry. So so I have specifically spent the last few months working with a young man, learning to do computers and videos and uploading them and understanding the whole thing. And I want to keep sharing information. That's what Bree would want for sure. So thank you very much.